Well, you know, a lot of folks have said that folk music is dead, and what can I say? That went kind of straight to my head. I didn't know if that was true, or maybe they didn't know, you know. How you gonna say folk music went the way of the dodo? These days they got the anti-folk, and you got the emo, and of course you got rock and roll and soul. Justin Bieber sings Baby 17 times in a row and calls it a chorus, so who knows? And it looks like them Japanese cities is going to be the very first towns to get washed away while burning down. That's just the way the wind blows. So I just had to get out there for myself and see if folk music was alive and well. Well, I started out there in Greenwich Village Square just to see if folk music was then and there. I didn't know where I was, and I didn't really care. Just kind of walked around and stared. Talking hard times in the city, down in New York town. Well, I saw Woody Guthrie on the corner of the road. He had holes in his jeans and a Dust Bowl coat. I ran over just to say hello, 'cause he's the man I want to meet the most. But I guess I was looking at Woody Guthrie's ghost, 'cause I looked twice and he wasn't there. Well, I don't know, but I've been told folk music is dead and cold. Well, all I can say to that was, Bobby, where you been, man? Where'd you go? Well, I took out my clothes and I put on my best. I was picking up my guitar, I was heading out west, talking transcontinental railroad, man. Wouldn't even take my money. So I was hoofing it there down through Tennessee. I took a big old sip from the Mississippi. It was cold and wet and kind of muddy. It was alright, I guess. Now this weren't no kind of place for no society club. I was just looking for a quiet little pub. Found a little bitty girl, she wanted a little bit of love. Well, guess how that one ended? Well, I give her what I had, but it wasn't enough. So I said, fare thee well, darling, and I just picked up my stuff. I was on the road again, headed west. God bless. Well, I was taking them Rockies there step by step. Couldn't say why, but I kind of had a pain in my chest. Just kind of kept me from catching the rest of my breath. I guess I loved that girl more than I guessed. And I ain't saying it's truth, and I ain't saying it's lies, but I never did get that Rocky Mountain high. Personally, I think John Denver was full of shit. And I tell him too. So the next day I was headed kind of westerly. I was walking in the southwest, talking desert valleys. Nothing as far as the eye could see except sand and imagery. And I still don't understand how a man could stand the heat coming off of that desert sand. But they was building houses, raising kids. They're gonna be there for a while. So the very next day I was on my way. I was crossing that line for California. I said 3 cheers and a hip hip hooray. Well, I went down to Sacramento town just to see what was up. I was trying to get down. I guess a circus must have been in town, 'cause all I found was a whole bunch of clowns clowning around, horsing, running the 7th biggest economy in the world just for kicks. Well, I could almost smell the salt from the sea, so I was headed west again for San Francisco City. I was in the wharf just dipping my feet. I was walking right down the middle of Market Street. I didn't care. Plus they got that little island there you can walk on if you dare. Well, I was getting cold from the salt in the ocean, so I took in my head a kind of rambling notion. I was off again. This time, friends, in a southward motion, but I had to get there. So I was down in the Muni, people put money in my shoe, and I started playing me Subterranean Homesick Blues. People looked at me like I was playing something new. Bobby, where you been, man? What'd you do? Quick as you could say, quick as you please, I was walking right there in the Central Valley. People talking a strange language and picking berries. I don't care what anybody says, man. That's a hard life doing that thing every day. Picking. Well, at this point in the song, you're starting to get to know me, and it wasn't long before I thought about some rambling. I was headed off again for that Grapevine Hill, straight for the San Fernando Valley. I saw perfect streets and talking bright palm trees. I must have been in that city of Los Angeles. And I ain't never seen people so pretty and clean. Look at me, so dirty and mean. For all that warm weather and soft living, it was a cold, hard scene. Well, I fixed for Santa Monica and I began to roam. I heard you built yourself a nice big home, talking lots of rooms, a butler service, even got a servant named Consuela. Well, down the street the dogs was barking and the day was growing late. So I was taking off my hat, I was knocking on your gate. Thought maybe we could just sit a spell, get out our guitars and play. Well, your God said that you were not expecting me, and I had just better head on down the street where the evening met with the road most gracefully. Well, I felt down then, I kinda hung my head. I said, I guess folk music really is gone and dead. All I could think was, Bobby, where you been? Well, I'll tell you now what I was thinking then. I was thinking that you can't go back again. You can't see things now the way you saw them then. Nobody can. That's just the way it's been. But I tell you, once again, I was thinking, Bobby, where you been? These kids ain't got no leadership, no direction home. Like a generation of Rolling Stones, talking the where you been blues.